Car Cost Canada provides the dealer cost, a list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. The link is in the description below. All right, I admit it. It's a bit of a clickbait title, but you're watching this north of the border and south of the border as well. And the one thing I can say is it's too bad that the U.S. doesn't bring in this car, because I think it is, in the Mercedes lineup, the best car you can't buy in America from Mercedes-Benz, which is too bad. So what do we have at play here? The C-Class Wagon, the Estate, the Touring, whatever you want to call it. But the thing is, we have two versions in Canada. I encourage you to click on the link here to watch the review I did just over a year or so ago of the C300, the base model with the turbo 4-cylinder with 255 horsepower. But what we have at play today is a totally different beast. This is the C43 AMG, higher performance bi-turbo or twin-turbo 6-cylinder engine with a lot of power. Now, there's lots of arguments to be made for the fact that this isn't a true AMG. I have been to a Voltebach, which is where they make the hand-built engines, the V8 engines that go into many of their GT cars, and this isn't a hand-built engine. The way they do it there for those engine is one man, one engine, and he does all the assembly, or she, I'm not sure, by themselves. That's not the case. This is more of a mass-produced engine. However, I was on a GT program in Germany with Mercedes-Benz earlier this year. We got to drive the GT on the track, and speaking to the head of AMG, I asked him, I said, how much AMG is really in these cars that don't have that hand-built engine? He says a lot. Of course, he's going to take the company line, because they take these cars, they modify them, and they use all the other things they do to these cars, like suspension, tuning, calibration. He claims it might not be a hand-built engine, but at least it is an AMG in some respect. So you might be wondering, why does Canada get this C-Class wagon and you don't get it in the United States? Well, Canada, disproportionately high number of Mercedes-Benz products are sold here. In fact, yeah, we don't have the numbers of cars sold like you would in the United States, but the market share of Mercedes-Benz here is really quite high, and that means that the Canadian arm of Mercedes can go to the factory and say, we'll take that car for our market. We think we can sell it. So obviously there's more potential buyers here in Canada than the US Mercedes-Benz division actually believes, which is a shame, because I'm not sure how much more it costs to import a variant like this, a station wagon, in over a regular sedan, but there's got to be some people that you would think would want this car. And this thing is fast. It goes 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.8 seconds, 385 horsepower, 384 pound-feet of torque. And we have a good old horsepower race between BMW and Mercedes with their turbo 6-cylinder engines. BMW's is just over 380 horsepower, and the same thing with this. And you benefit from that because it's a lot of fun. And all of the C43s, actually all the C-Class we get in Canada, are 4MATIC all-wheel drive. Makes perfect sense for our climate. And this is a really good system. It definitely feels dynamic, and we benefit from all of the modern technology that goes into these cars. So you have the active damping, depending on what you want to do, relaxed or much more assertive. Same thing with throttle and engine management and transmission management. And it's the one thing about this car that I don't absolutely love. I think if you're somebody that's doing a lot of commuting, bumper-to-bumper traffic, the C300 would be a more traditional luxury, comfortable place to spend some time. This transmission calibration with the bi-turbo engine is jerky on and off the throttle in slow speed situations. So if you do a lot of commuting, it's not that fun. It's really quite jerky. The same thing if you live in an area where there's really a lot of potholes and the roads aren't good. Even in the comfort mode of this C43, you definitely can tell much more aggressive wheel package, certainly more assertive when it comes to the suspension. And when you ratchet it all up to the highest settings, this car is very dynamic. So it's one of those things I really want, if you're interested in buying this car, is trying it in the C300 and the C43 for your style of driving to see if you need this much aggression. The one thing I will say though, the packaging on this car looks so good with the AMG appearance package. You get the chin spoiler, you get the side skirts, the bigger wheels, the diffuser on the bottom at the back with the black exhaust tips. It really does look good. And I never used to be a fan of white cars until I bought a white car. My car right now is white. Same kind of thing as this. It's got the white and black combined together, and I think it really looks good on this particular model. So the engine certainly has a lot of power. The suspension is certainly up to the job. The steering feels good. Transmission is not my favorite, but this car really shines when you get it out on the open road, away from city traffic, away from stop and go driving. When you have an open road where you can carve it up or just take it out on the highway, wow, what a machine. Beautifully put together. Now I can clearly remember seeing the interior of this C-Class when it first was introduced at the Detroit Auto Show. And I came in and I looked at this and I went, wow. And you know what? It's held up pretty well. It's starting to show its age a little bit in comparison to some of the competition. First of all, credit where credit's due. These beautifully bolstered AMG seats, and they don't feel too pinchy. I think if you're a bigger person, you could fit in here no problem. Lots of adjustment. The headroom's good. The back seat is surprisingly roomy. Having the seat set for where I drive right now, getting in the back seat, there's still plenty of leg room, and the headroom is very good. It's especially helpful with this big pano roof. So the size of this car is pretty good. The cargo area, one of the benefits of having a wagon over a utility is you typically get a longer cargo area that's lower to the ground and easier to load in. Then you turn forward and you see maybe some areas that could be updated. The first thing that's really quite nice is the 12.3-inch fully digital instrument cluster, and it is configurable. I like the animation and the change of the graphics. You can go for different settings depending on what you like. I have it set on Sport. I think that's the one that I like the best. We do not have the MBUX system in this car, the Mercedes-Benz user experience. We've seen that in A-Class. We've seen that throughout many of their new products. And apparently it isn't coming until this car is fully redone in about a year. We're going to see the new C-Class. And that apparently is going to get some other version of MBUX with a bigger tablet screen. So we're stuck with this command control system that is not as intuitive as BMW's iDrive. You kind of learn it and it's a bit clumsy, but it's not as good as the iDrive system for sure. And I think that the MMI system or the MMI touch system from Audi is arguably better. So if you're really headstrong about having the newest, latest in-dash tech, this isn't the car for you, but a new C-Class is coming and a new interior configuration is coming. This is workable, but it's not the best. On the positive side, compared to the BMW system, you get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay included in the head unit, where BMW doesn't have Android support, and for Apple CarPlay, you actually have to pay for it. Okay, how much does a C-Class wagon cost? Well, the C300, now keep in mind these are Canadian dollars, is $47,700, which is so close to what they charge for a GLC, the compact utility. This car, the AMG version, the C43, I thought would be more expensive. It's $60,000 basically in the Canadian marketplace. Now that's without any add-ons, but for the upgraded engine, the suspension, the bigger wheels and tires, the looks of this car, it's not a crazy premium over the regular car with a lot less power. So it seems like a pretty good deal. There's going to be people watching this saying, now Zach, I live in the US, can I just come up to Canada and buy this car from a Mercedes-Benz dealer and take it back across the border? Well, the short answer is no, because between each country, they have an agreement with their divisions that they will not sell a US car. I can't go down to a Mercedes-Benz dealer south of me in Seattle and buy a car and drive it back. That's not allowed, and vice versa. What you can do probably is to get an intermediary, that's somebody like a used car lot, to buy the car and then you buy it from them. You'd have to pay them a bit of a premium to do it if you really, really wanted this car. And here's the thing, is that that person can sell it to you without any restrictions. You need to check at the border to find out if a broker could bring it across, if there's any modifications that need to happen to the car, but I think that's how you'd have to do it. Here's the thing though, for Canadians that are watching this car, whether you get the C300 or the C43, would be a good car because it's going to hold its value. So when these cars are used, is there going to be a market for these south of the border? Oh, you bet. I love station wagons. I had a 5 Series station wagon from the 90s and E34. I love that car. Very reliable, so practical. My wife hated it. I want an X5, she says. Away went the station wagon, in came the SUV. And that's the world we live in these days. SUVs are everything. And I'm not sure why I find a lot of women don't like station wagons, but I would love this car. This is a really nice option for someone that wants space for a family, utility, but likes handling and driving. If that's you, maybe this is the car for you. C43 AMG, almost 400 horsepower, not bad. Car Cost Canada provides the dealer cost, a list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. The link is in the description below.